The night was thick with dust, and the desert wind carried whispers of storm. Brewing on the horizon, the soldiers, huddled in their makeshift base, rifles, cleaned, helmets strapped tight, nerves raw. For hours, the radio had been buzzing with intel, enemy movements, circling, scouts spotting shadowy figures on the ridge lines. Everyone knew an attack was coming. Everyone felt it pressing down like a weight on their chests. But in that tense silence, one voice dared to break through. It belonged to Corporal Elena Ramirez. She wasn't the loudest. She wasn't the strongest. And she certainly wasn't the most celebrated among the men of her unit. But she carried something inside her that most of them had forgotten after years of deployment. Clarity, that unshakable sense of purpose that said, we are here to protect lives, not just survive battles. When the lieutenant announced the defensive positions, Elena raised her hand. Sir, she said, steadily, requesting permission to man. The M249. Heads turned. Smirks broke out. Across the room, a couple of privates muttered, under their breath, laughter bubbling in their throats. Even her squad leader gave her a look that balanced disbelief with irritation. The saw. One of them scoffed. That's not exactly a lightweight. You really think you can keep up with that thing? Another chuckled. She can barely carry her rucksack on a march. Now she wants to haul the squad automatic weapon. The room filled with mockery, low whistles, sarcastic claps, and rolled eyes. But Elena didn't flinch. She didn't explain herself. She didn't fire back with words. She only met the lieutenant's gaze, firm and unwavering. I'm qualified, she said simply. The lieutenant studied her. His silence carried weight, but eventually he gave a sharp nod. Fine, the M249 is yours. Don't make me regret it. The jeers quieted, but the tension remained thick as the dust swirling outside. Hours later, the night exploded. The enemy came like a tide. Rockets hissed. Overhead, mortars thudded it into the sand. Rifles cracked in every direction. Within seconds, chaos swallowed the camp. Soldiers scrambled for cover, shouting, commands drowned in the roar of war. Elena dragged the M249 into position, her gloves gripping the bipod, her eyes scanning the darkness where muzzle flashes sparked like fireflies. The mocking words of her squad still echoed in her mind, but they no longer stung. They fueled her. She squeezed the trigger. The saw roared to life. The belt of ammunition rattled. Brass casing spewed across the dirt, and a wall of fire ripped into the night. Enemy silhouettes crumpled one by one. Their momentum halted in a hail of suppression. Ramirez covered the left. Flank, someone yelled. She was already on it. Her stream of fire cut down. Advancing fighters trying to crawl through the dunes. The rhythm of her weapon became the heartbeat of the defense, pounding steady, relentless, unyielding. Her squad mates, the same ones who mocked her, now ducked behind. Her shield of bullets. Minutes stretched into hours. The assault didn't slow. Waves kept coming. Screaming fighters, charging with reckless abandon. Mortar fire landed so close it rattled her bones. Dust choked the air. Sweat burned her eyes. But Elena did not let go of the trigger. When one belt ran dry, she slammed in another. Her arms ached. Her shoulders screamed, but her focus never wavered. She silenced one enemy position after another. Snipers on the ridge, gunners in the ravine, machine nests, hidden in the shadows. Every time they thought they had her unit pinned, her M249 answered with thunder. Then came the moment no one expected. A mortar shell tore through the sandbag wall, collapsing it in a plume of fire and Debris. Several soldiers were blown off. Their feet. The left flank buckled. Panic spread like wildfire. Fall back, someone screamed. But falling back meant exposing the wounded, leaving them behind. It meant giving the enemy a clear path to overrun the base. Elena's eyes locked onto the breach. She dragged the M249 into the open, planting it squarely in the gap, her body silhouetted against the flames. Bullets whipped past her, snapping so close they sliced through the straps on her vest. Shrapnel bit into her leg, hot blood seeping into her boots. But she didn't move. She didn't falter. She unleashed a storm of fire that drowned the enemy. Charge. For 10 minutes, she fought alone. In the open, every round buying precious. Seconds for a squad to regroup, for medics to pull the wounded to safety, for the defense line to be rebuilt. And in those 10 minutes, she silenced every enemy position within reach. By dawn, the attack had broken. The Regia lines were quiet again. The desert wind carried only smoke and silence. Her squad stumbled out of there, foxholes battered but alive. 100 lives had been spared that night because one woman refused to let mockery decide her worth. The same soldiers who laughed at her now looked at her with something else in their eyes. Not pity, not surprise, but respect, the kind earned in fire and blood. The lieutenant approached, his face streaked with dust and exhaustion. He stopped in front of her, staring at the saw resting in her lap, the barrel scorched black. "You saved us," he said, simply. Elena didn't smile. She didn't bask in glory. She just nodded, wiped the grime from her hands, and finally allowed herself to breathe. In the end, it wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about proving when the world needed her most that she could be the one to stand tall. And from that day forward, no one ever questioned her place behind the M249 again. If the story moved you, if it lit fire inside you, then don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories of courage, resilience, and the unbreakable human spirit.